Imagine a landscape so brutal, so unforgiving, that it doesn't just stop a man, it erases him. No grave, no marker, just ice and wind and then silence. This is the story of a German mountain patrol that ventured into the white hell of the Arctic winter and was never seen again, not alive at least. Their disappearance remained one of the forgotten mysteries of the Second World War until the spring sun returned to Svalbard. What the melting snow revealed that May would offer a grim testament to the power of nature over men and their machines. To understand this story, we must travel to the top of the world. The Svalbard archipelago, situated roughly 650 miles from the North Pole, is a place of mountainous peaks, creeping glaciers, and fjords that freeze solid during the long winter night. By late 1941, this seemingly barren island chain had become a critical pawn in the war. The Allies, through Operation Gauntlet, had evacuated the Norwegian and Russian miners and destroyed the coal infrastructure to deny the Germans a potential base. But the Germans weren't interested in coal. They were interested in the weather. The Arctic is the birthplace of much of Western Europe's weather patterns, and accurate forecasts were vital for U-boat operations and Luftwaffe reconnaissance in the Atlantic. So the Germans initiated Operation Banso. They established a manned weather station, codenamed Nosby, or Bud, at the abandoned settlement of Longyearbyen. The man chosen to lead this effort was Dr. Eric Etienne, a renowned pre-war polar explorer who understood the Arctic's dangers better than most. His unit was supported by the long-range Focke-Wulf 200 Condors of Vekusta 5, based at Banak in northern Norway, which flew reconnaissance and supply missions across the frozen sea. In early May 1942, a routine supply patrol set out from the main German encampment. Their mission was to trek across the ice fields to check on an outlying cache or perhaps conduct a local reconnaissance. The exact unit designation has been lost to history, but these were Gebirgsjäger, mountain troops, elite soldiers trained to fight in the most extreme conditions on Earth. They were clad in white camouflage, equipped with skis, and carried the standard weapons of the Gebirgsjäger. The Mauser Karabiner 98K, rifles, and perhaps an MG-34 machine gun. The patrol moved out into a landscape of pure white, where the horizon dissolved into the sky. For 3 days, they navigated by compass, the temperature hovering around 30 degrees Fahrenheit. But on the third day, the Arctic decided to show its teeth. A howling wind picked up, whipping the snow on the ground into a furious ground blizzard. Visibility dropped to 0. This was no ordinary storm. It was a complete whiteout, where the sense of up and down disappears, and a man can become hopelessly disoriented just steps from his comrades. For the men of the patrol, the situation became impossible. Exhausted and disoriented, they knew they were lost. The cold was a living thing, seeping through their specialized clothing, freezing the moisture in their breath onto their hoods, turning their white camouflage into stiff, unyielding shells. They would have tried to dig a snow cave, to find shelter in a crevasse, anything to escape the wind. But the storm lasted not for hours, but for days. When the wind finally died, the landscape was utterly transformed. The patrol's tracks were gone. They were gone. 12 men swallowed by the ice as if they had never existed. By 1400 hours, the patrol had failed to return to its scheduled rendezvous point. At the main camp, the officers initially held back, sending out a search party in this weather would only mean losing more men. They listened to the wind tearing at their quarters and waited. Little did they know, the patrol had stumbled into a deadly trap. Unable to see, and with their compasses potentially affected by the local iron deposits common to the region, they had veered off course. Instead of heading back towards the relative safety of the coast, they had moved inland, towards the island's mountainous, glaciated interior. A search was launched, but it found nothing. Dr. Etienne and his men could only assume they had fallen into a crevasse or been blown into the sea. The patrol was listed as missing, presumed dead, and the war moved on. Weeks passed. The sun began its slow return to the archipelago, climbing higher in the sky each day. The temperatures rose just enough to soften the snowpack. It was during this spring thaw, in late May or early June of 1942, that another German patrol, perhaps out hunting for seals or conducting a survey, made their way up a valley they had crossed 100 times before. The snow was melting, revealing the rocks and scree of the valley floor. And there, lying in a small, exposed hollow, they found them. The spring thaw had surrendered its dead. The patrol was not scattered by a crevasse or lost at sea. They were huddled together in a tight group, a final desperate tableau of survival. They had found the only shelter available, a slight depression in the terrain, a lee side of a rock outcropping. They had likely survived the storm itself, only to succumb in the days that followed. Perhaps their rations ran out, or their attempts to start a fire with damp wood failed. One by one, the cold had claimed them. They had simply laid down and never risen. The searchers found them exactly as they had frozen, their rifles still stacked nearby, their eyes staring at the uncaring Arctic sky. The war in the Arctic continued its brutal course. Later that summer, on the 14th of May, the Allies launched Operation Fritham, sending a force of Free Norwegian troops to retake the island. Their transport ships, SS Seeless and SS Isbjørn, were spotted and sunk in Grenfjorden by those same Focke-Wulf condors from WWII. The Norwegian commander, Einar Sverdrup, was among the 12 killed in the attack. The German weather station persisted. A small footnote in a global war. Dr. Erich Etienne himself would be killed in a flying accident. On the 23rd of July, 1942, his plane crashing into a mountain while on a reconnaissance. Flight, another life claimed, not by the enemy, but by the unforgiving Arctic terrain. The vanished patrol and what the spring thaw revealed became a somber legend among the men of Operation Banso. It was a story told in hushed tones in the huts at Longyearbyen, a parable about the arrogance of thinking man could conquer this land. Today, the remains of the German presence on Svalbard are considered dark, heritage, physical, reminders of a war fought on the roof of the world. The metal debris rusts slowly in the dry cold, and the graves, if they can still be found, serve as a lonely outpost for 12 men who fought the war, but lost the battle to the ice.